Finance and Strategic Support Committee to order. I think we do have a quorum. We're missing one member, Councilmember Batra, who I'm sure is probably going to pop in sometime soon. Before we start the meeting... He's here? Yeah, okay, he's probably in the back. So before we start the meeting, let me just remind the Public Safety Committee members and members of the public to follow our code of conduct at meetings. This includes commenting on specific agenda items only and addressing the full body. Public speakers will not engage in a conversation with the chair, council members, or staff. All members of the Public Safety Committee, staff, and the public are expected to refrain from abusive language. Repeated failure to comply with the code of conduct, which will disturb, disrupt, or impede the orderly conduct of this meeting, may result in removal from the meeting. This meeting of the Public Safety, Finance, and Strategic Support Committee will now come to order. Can the clerk's office please call roll?
Batra.
Present.
Torres.
Present.
Kamei. Here. Duan.
Present.
And Jimenez.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, we have everyone present today. Item B is review of work plan. There's nothing to review. We'll go ahead and go to item C, consent calendar. Certainly accept a motion and a second for consent calendar, but we'll first go to public comment.
Paul Soto.
Yes, good afternoon. I'd like to reiterate the importance of keeping track of the loose spending that's been going on in the staff. In particular, it was highlighted that Magdalena Carrasco's staff, Magdalena Carrasco's office was one of the major abusers of public monies in procurement area. That there was a lot of, it was very suspicious that she, being a representative of the poorest barrio, had the highest amount of spending for herself and for her, like just miscellaneous unaccounted for items. And so there needs to be stricter rules, and because that's not their money, it's ours. It belongs to the public. And just because you have a position doesn't mean that you can stick your greedy little hands all over whatever you want because you have that position. And it concerns me that she's still in the staff capacity of City Hall. And so she needs to be kept an eye on, obviously, due to her reckless spending habits. And there was, well, no, it was one of her staff members is what it was. And so that I would like to, if you can personally pay attention to that, that would be helpful, because then it would allow us to trust in the integrity of our politicians. When they say they're going to do something, they do it. Because if you're loose on issues like that, spending like that, what are you loose on? Things that can't be accounted for. So that's my comment.
Let me just say before we go on to any other public comment, Paul, I don't think that was on topic, and I should have stopped you right when you started, but I didn't. But just for any other speakers during the course of this meeting, please stay on topic. This, for example, was the first quarter financial reports for fiscal year 2023-2024 that didn't involve anything related to the spending of any particular council office or former member Carrasco. So just as we go forward, just please stay on topic or I'll have to stop you. Thank you. Are there any other public
Move
comments?
to approve item C1.
Second.
We have no more hands.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Okay, let's vote. We don't see it on our screen. We take a voice vote if you like. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Against? Seeing none?
Okay, so
Passes. Thank you.
5-0.
Yes.
That passes
Thank you so
unanimously.
much. We're going to go to the report of the committee, and we have the Police Department Operations and Performance Bi-Monthly Status Report. And we have Lieutenant Hamlin, and I don't see Deputy Police Chief Jaime Jimenez, I think, is here. But Hamlin, Mr. Hamlin, please go ahead.
Thank you and good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Paul Hamblin of the Research and Development Unit of the San Jose Police Department, and today I will be presenting the department's Operations and Performance bi-monthly status report. Today's report will cover 4 separate topics. I'll begin with an update on the department's redistricting efforts, and then I'll provide a report on the Mobile Crisis Assessment Team, or MCAT. Next, I'll report the department's most current recruitment and hiring numbers. And finally, I will end today's report with a discussion on the San Jose PD Homicide Unit's efforts to solve cold case homicides. Before I begin, I'd like to say a word about citywide crime statistics, which are normally included in the bi-monthly status report. As was outlined in Chief Mata's memo to Council in October of 2022, and as I've mentioned at previous meetings, the department upgraded its record management system in April of this year to the new data platform, which has California-specific crime data points. On October 20th, 2023, the department attempted to submit crime stats to the FBI for the month of July, and when we did so, we noticed some anomalies. This has caused us to pause crime stat submissions and triage the issues with the FBI and our record management system vendor. This is not uncommon, and most similarly sized police departments have experienced similar issues. The department is testing the fixes and is scheduled to resubmit stats on November 16th, which is coincidentally today. I have full confidence that I'll be able to resume reporting Part 1 crime statistics at the next bi-monthly report in February, and that the Sexual Assaults Investigation Unit and Family Violence Unit will be able to give a full report on their statistics in the Gender-Based Violence Annual Report in March. With that, I'll begin our report with redistricting. I'm pleased to report that the Police Department redistricting project is progressing well and is on track to be completed on schedule. The consultant, Matrix, has made significant progress in gathering and analyzing data and is now beginning their community engagement. The team is conducting a comprehensive analysis of crime data, demographic data, and community input to identify the most effective ways to redraw the police districts. This analysis will ensure that the new districts will be more equitable, efficient, and responsive to the needs of the community. As I just mentioned, Matrix will be conducting the community engagement for the redistricting project. We have connected them with all 10 council offices, the mayor's office, and the city manager's office. The department has now stepped aside and allowed Matrix, the external contractor, to do this engagement. Matrix brings specialized expertise in community engagement and public consultation, and letting them do it free from the department's involvement and influence ensures the process will be inclusive and transparent. Now I'll report on the Mobile Crisis Assessment Team. The Mobile Crisis Assessment Team, or MCAT, is a team of sworn SJPD law enforcement officers that responds to mental health crises in an interdisciplinary partnership between law enforcement and mental health professionals from Santa Clara County Behavioral Health Services. Each member of the team receives continuous and advanced training that helps them better understand and interpret crisis behavior and respond appropriately. The goal of this collaborative approach is to provide the most effective and least invasive response to behavioral health crisis events possible. In its almost 3 years of existence, MCAT has dramatically changed the way the department responds to mental health crises. When the police department receives a call for service, which could potentially involve a person experiencing a mental health crisis, it is directed to an MCAT sergeant for review. If the sergeant, who is also monitoring incoming calls, believes the call meets the criteria, the on-call MCAT team will respond. MCAT responds to calls of this type throughout the city. Because they don't respond to other types of calls, and because they stage in areas of the city with the highest number of mental health calls, they are able to arrive quickly in most cases. Meanwhile, behavioral health clinicians are also dispatched to the location of the call where they meet with MCAT. The team of officers and clinicians then work together to de-escalate the situation if necessary and link involved parties with mental illnesses to available services, avoiding incarceration whenever possible. The goals of the Mobile Crisis Assessment Team are to identify client needs and ensure connection to care providers, develop innovative strategies in response to mental health crises, and to establish and maintain partnerships with the city, county, and community stakeholders. To help achieve this last goal, the team participates in community outreach events and provides presentations to community groups and stakeholders. This has allowed the unit to foster positive and collaborative relationships with both private and public stakeholders in the mental health field. Here are some of the benefits of MCAT. First and foremost is fewer incidents of force. Fewer uses of force naturally results in fewer injuries to both clients and officers. In quarter number 4 of the last fiscal year and quarter number 1 of this fiscal year, MCAT responded to around 500 calls for service without a single use of force. MCAT officers have the luxury of spending a lot of time on scene compared to patrol officers, which allows them to de-escalate individuals in crisis. The specially trained officers in MCAT are better able to understand and interpret crisis behavior and respond appropriately, which leads to fewer injuries to individuals in crisis. They even wear light gray polos instead of dark Navy uniforms, which is often better received. Additionally, MCAT officers are more acquainted with the mental health services available in the area and are able to provide the appropriate referrals. They have been trained to, whenever possible, divert individuals away from the criminal justice system and toward much needed mental health services. There are currently 2 sergeants and 4 officers assigned to MCAT, which allows for 2 teams comprised of 1 sergeant and 2 officers each. Having 2 teams allows for coverage on both sides of the week. An MCAT team is available 7 days a week from 10 o'clock a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. This slide shows MCAT statistical data broken down by year since its first year, which was 2021. This data is based on calendar year, which is why the numbers for 2023 are noticeably lower than 2022, because 2023 isn't done yet. So far in 2023, MCAT has responded to 860 calls for service, made 339 resource referrals, and transported 100 patients to an emergency psychiatric hospital. Other options used by MCAT are community service centers such as Mission Street Recovery Station, Uplift, and city and county shelters. Occasionally, MCAT transports clients to crisis stabilization units, mental health urgent care facilities, and directly to the hospital if the client has injuries or medical concerns. Now for a brief update on the department's recruitment and hiring efforts. I'll remind you that the recruiting unit gave a full report to the committee in September, so this is just an update. As of October 27th, 2023, the department has 1,173 authorized sworn officer positions, with 1,070 sworn positions filled. There were 1,092 sworn positions filled last year at this time. During fiscal year 21-22, the department received 1,924 applications. In 22-23, the department received 2,223 applications. And during quarter 1 of the current fiscal year, the department received 670 applications compared to 545 for quarter 1 of fiscal year 22-23. As you can see, the numbers of applications are trending upward. In fiscal year 21-22, the department hired 120 officers, including 6 laterals. In 22-23, We hired 101 officers, including 3 laterals. In Q1 of the current fiscal year, the department has hired 43 officers, including 1 lateral, compared to 28 officers for Q1 of fiscal year 22-23. The department is currently filling an academy class, San Jose 48, which will start in February of 2024. The department has given out 24 conditional job offers for that class, with 33 applicants still in backgrounds. There is potential for an academy class of 50 recruits, which would be fantastic. As of October 27th, 23, the department has 74 authorized CSO positions, with 62 of those positions filled. In fiscal year 21-22, the department hired 7 CSOs, and in 22-23, it hired 6. So far in 23-24, it has hired 3. Overall, these numbers are encouraging. While the number of sworn positions filled is down from the previous year, the number of applications has jumped dramatically, and we're hoping to field our largest academy class in 3 years in February. I'm going to finish my report today by talking about cold cases. At the November 7th, 2023 City Council meeting, Vice Mayor Kamei sponsored a commendation recognizing the San Jose Police Department's Homicide and Crime Scene Unit for their 100% solve rate for homicides that occurred in 2022. The department was gratified to receive recognition for this truly remarkable accomplishment. The achievement of a perfect solve rate in a city the size of San Jose is virtually unheard of, and is a testament to the talent and dedication of the people working in that office. However, that statistic doesn't tell the whole story. In the 3 years between 2020 and 2022, the homicide unit also solved 16 cold case homicides, including 3 in 2020, 8 in 2021, and 5 in 2022. So far in 2023, the unit has solved an additional 5 cold cases. This is particularly significant because San Jose PD does not have a fully dedicated cold case team. These cold cases were solved by regular homicide investigators in addition to their current and constantly growing caseloads. The San Jose PD Homicide Unit's unofficial mantra is everyone counts or no one counts. This means there is no such thing as an acceptable unsolved homicide. And since there is no statute of limitations on homicide in the state of California, this includes every homicide that has ever been committed in the city of San Jose. There are several factors that can contribute to a cold case homicide being pulled off the shelf and given another look. Occasionally, new evidence surfaces which either points investigators in the direction of a new, previously unknown suspect, or which can be that final piece of the puzzle that strengthens the case against a previously identified suspect, enough to compel investigators to file the case with the district attorney. Technology is also a major contributor in solving cold cases, and one of the core values of the department is to keep its investigators and evidence analysts well trained and apprised of the newest crime-solving technologies. Another occurrence that can lead to a cold case being solved is the emergence of new witnesses coming forward with key information. Very often, it's not a new witness, but rather one who was previously interviewed about the crime, but who has had a change of heart and is now ready to divulge key information when they were previously unwilling to do so. Time changes people's perspectives. It can also change relationships, loyalties, and motivations. A good investigator can identify and use these often subtle changes to pry loose useful information. The final factor I want to highlight is time. And by this, I'm referring to the amount of time that a homicide investigator has available to spend working on a cold case. To give you a little background, the SJPD Homicide Unit is comprised of 6 two-person investigative teams supervised by 1 lieutenant. SJPD Homicide, within SJP Homicide, each team includes 1 sergeant and 1 officer. These 6 two-investigator teams take turns being on call on a rotating basis. Historically, the on-call rotation was a hard one-week commitment starting at 8 o'clock Sunday night and going to the following Sunday night at 8 o'clock. During that week, the on-call team responded to and was assigned every homicide that occurred during that week, making it nearly impossible to give any of the 3 cases the investigative attention that they deserved. That system goes back at least 20 years. About 3 years ago, the homicide unit changed its on-call model to prevent that from happening. Now, when a team gets a case, it is temporarily taken out of the rotation so it can devote its full attention to that one case. Another major factor is the department's fluid staffing model. In some departments, there's no limit to the number of years that a detective can spend in the homicide unit, leaving them free to spend 10 to 15 years of their careers working homicides. In San Jose, the investigators must rotate out of the homicide unit and back to patrol after no more than 4 years in the unit. And the reality is, with promotions, retirements, and voluntary transfers, the average tenure of a San Jose homicide detective is far less than 4 years. Once the 2 primary detectives have left the unit, the odds of an unsolved case being solved go down dramatically. When they leave the unit, the 2 primary investigators take not only their personal knowledge of the case with them, but to a large extent their sense of ownership of the case as well. It's difficult for another team, which has its own primary cases to work on, to make up for that loss of knowledge and take on that same level of ownership over a case that wasn't originally theirs. With that setting, I'm going to present you with a couple of our success stories over the past few years. And I have to explain up front that all of these cases are still in the adjudication process. So I have to use very general descriptions and avoid any specific details. What I'm going to focus on in each is the dedication and determination on the part of our homicide investigators that goes into solving these difficult cases. The first one I'm going to share with you occurred on July 12, 2013 at 9:43 p.m. on the 1300 block of State Street in Alviso. Passers-by located the victim on the sidewalk with multiple gunshot wounds to his body. Witnesses saw a dark-colored sedan leave the scene. The primary investigators responded to the scene and conducted an investigation that continued for several months. Gradually, the detectives developed what they believed was a strong lead and identified a possible suspect. Unfortunately, they did not feel they had enough evidence against the suspect to take it to the district attorney's office and file a criminal complaint. Eventually, the sergeant on the team retired, and the officer, who still had many years left in his career, timed out of the unit and went on to another assignment. But he never forgot about the case on State Street. 6 years later, in 2019, while working a different assignment, he reached out to an officer who was at that time assigned to the homicide unit and who was, as luck would have it, temporarily without a partner. The two of them reviewed the 2013 case together and worked on it together until one day they finally had the evidence they needed to file the case against the suspect. The evidence they uncovered matched evidence from the scene, including the description of the suspect's vehicle. In January of 2020, a Superior Court judge signed a warrant for the suspect's arrest, and the DA's office filed a criminal complaint for murder. The defendant is currently in custody and awaiting trial. The other case I'm going to share occurred on June 21st, 2018 at 1:26 p.m. on the 3600 block of Misty Glen Court, which is near Andrew Hill High School, right off of Center. The victim was shot in the entryway of his residence. 3 suspects were seen getting out of a black sedan and approaching the residence just before the shooting. The primary investigators for this case believed this crime was not random, and they interviewed dozens of people they believed had knowledge of what happened. Unfortunately, some of the witness statements contradicted each other and did not match evidence from the crime scene. The case went cold, and both of the detectives eventually left the unit. 3 years later, in 2021, one of the teams in the homicide unit at that time had a little time on its hand, and so they started going through cold cases. They did this because Every unsolved case is a person who has not gotten justice. The investigators were a senior male sergeant who was approaching retirement and a female officer who had previously worked in the gangs unit and was an outstanding investigator. When these two detectives came across the Misty Glen case and reviewed it, they quickly believed the missing piece lay with the witnesses that had already been interviewed. So they went out, found some of those witnesses, and re-interviewed them. As often happens, some of the statements changed and new information came to light. The detectives were able to match this new information to physical and technological evidence that had already been obtained, and they identified two possible suspects. In July of 2022, arrest warrants were signed by a Superior Court judge, and the DA's office filed a criminal complaint for murder against the suspects. These are just two examples of the amazing work being done by the dedicated investigators of the Homicide Unit to solve cold cases in the city of San Jose. And that completes my report. As always, I'm eager to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, sir. Before we come back to the committee, we're going to go to public comment.
We have no public comment.
Okay, bringing it back to the committee, I see Councilmember Batra has some questions or comments.
Thank you for that report. I want to get a little idea about the MCAT unit's work. It shows that it works from 10 to 8 p.m. What happens between 8 p.m. and 10 a.m.?
Unfortunately, during those times, business goes back to the way it was pre-MCAT, which means that General Patrol is going to be responding to those calls without the benefit of MCAT. They, by the way, have received a lot of training. All of our officers, every single one of our patrol officers has received critical incident training, which is a 40-hour course, but it does pale in comparison to the training and expertise of the MCAT officers.
Has there been any consideration that this needs to be expanded, or we are happy with the way situation is, the 10 to 8 is good enough for our part, because this is relatively recent. Based on the experience, is there any desire to expand this? I know the cost is going to be prohibitive, but...
Yes, thank you for your question, Council Member. Yes, it is relatively recent, but in the short time that we've had it, it has been overwhelmingly successful. So to answer your question, absolutely. We would absolutely love to fortify that unit, make it much stronger, have larger teams so that there's overlap in case there are two crises going on at the same time. We would love to have round-the-clock coverage. We do know that a lot of these events do happen in the middle of the night, early hours. So yes, of course, we would love to. Our staffing levels just don't permit it at this time.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because with the emphasis we have right now, recognizing that the mental health situation in our society has many different implications, this is one of the directions where it goes. So I think it probably would be worth looking into next year, that if this unit is one of the units, need to be expanded hours of work for that. Okay, and they don't work overtime or anything. They cannot be called at night, late at night.
No, they're not budgeted for that. They have to stay within the framework of their regular hours.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you for those comments. We have Vice Mayor Kamei with some questions or comments.
Thank you so much, and I'm going to follow my colleague, Councilmember Batra, on the MCAT. I think it's really phenomenal, the work that's being done, and I'm just wondering in terms of how we're collecting the data and how we will see sort of the difference in terms of I know that it's expensive, but it's the investment and getting to the correct way of approaching a situation which is both safe for the officers as well as safe for the client. So I just think that, you know, as we move forward, I know that it's sometimes you have to initially invest more to get a better outcome, whereas sometimes if you don't make that investment, you pay a lot more later on. So I was just wondering how the data is being collected.
Thank you for your question, Vice Mayor. I'm going to call Sergeant Denise McMullen to come down and answer that question. I think she's the one that actually does collect that data, so I think she'd have a good perspective on how it's collected.
Thank you.
Yeah, if we can have the sergeant come down, and after her, I'll kind of jump in to how we're using that data and operations to inform future resource discussions with the council, so that you guys understand that as well.
That's really great, because I think that at the end of the day, if it's a little bit more, but the ending results is so much better, I think that it's worth the investment. So, you know, over time, I hope that we can do that. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Sergeant Denise McMullen, one of the two MCAT sergeants. And in regards to your question, Vice Mayor, probably about a year and a half ago, our crime analysis unit put together a dashboard. And basically what happens is the information, when we go out on a call, that information is then inputted into that dashboard so that we're able to pull whatever statistical data we need to utilize. That's one way in which it's done. And the second way is that nightly our unit creates a daily, and then from that daily I abstract whatever information that any data points that we're utilizing. I take that information and then I have a spreadsheet that I utilize to kind of keep track of that information as well.
Great, great. Yeah, I think that, you know, in the future it might be something that you know, we'd like to see, and we'd like to, I mean, you have to have enough data to be able to come to any conclusions, but it'd be great to know for future.
Yes, and I would just say we absolutely, and the department, who's done a wonderful job with this, approach this as a pilot, you know, for just to use that term. And, you know, those hours were very specific to when we thought we would get the best data, make the most impact, but see what that limited investment would mean over, you know, the long haul. And would absolutely agree with the lieutenant. I think the results and the people in the department that have been working on this, it's been amazing results. So when we start going through the budget process, as well as the council directed 911 call analysis, how we're responding to specific types of calls with what resources, all those two things will kind of come together to influence what we recommend through the budget process. And then ultimately you guys get to decide on that. But this has been a very successful effort by the department so far.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to Councilmember Duan.
Thank you for the report. Thank you for doing a good job out there protecting our residents and being compassionate and kind towards our mentally ill resident out there. Now, I know that the hours, my colleagues have addressed this from 10 to 8. Is there a dynamic deployment or perhaps even a rotational, where I believe the needs for the incident between 8 to, I would say, about 3 o'clock in the morning is on the rise. And as our population reduce or even rise a little bit, there's a huge needs out there for more personnel in MCAT. And is there a plan to do a rotational to, you know, coverage of those needed timeline for our residents?
Thank you for your question, Councilmember. Specifically with MCAT officers, is your question?
Yes.
To my knowledge, there is no plan to do that as of now until we're able to get the funding and the staffing for more members. They would continue. Two members is a pretty small team with a sergeant, so they would continue on that same model until we're able to get reinforcements for that unit.
All right. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you. I just had a few questions. Well, I'll just first ask about the MCAT. I think Lieutenant, you had mentioned that you didn't specify where they are, but you said something around related to the number of calls or high call areas of the city. Can you tell us a little bit about that, where that may be, maybe per district, if you can, like which district?
Yeah, I'm going to have Sergeant McMullen come back down for that one. I should have left her here.
Yeah, I'd love to just hear a little, whether it's like the downtown area or whatever it may be, just any context you can provide and color to that would be helpful.
So in regards to primarily where the unit responds, I would say a lot of our calls for service kind of gravitate towards the downtown area, and then those communities that kind of are surrounded the downtown area. So if we were talking in regards to districts, I would say probably our Central Division, Western Division is primarily where we spend the majority of our time answering calls for service.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then one of the questions I have is the hours of operation, 10 to 8, just what was touched on after. So that answer to that question was like where the calls take place, but did we analyze sort of what time of day they're happening? And so did we sort of tailor our hours from 10 to 8 around that, or was there?
So if I can it seems like the hours are kind of questionable in regards to they keep coming up. So in regards to the hours themselves, the reasons why, it was two components. One is the Santa Clara Behavioral Health clinicians. We kind of mirrored our hours based upon their availability. So that is why we work 10 to 8. After 8 p.m., those clinicians go on an on-call status. And then in regards to the volume of calls for service, what we started to notice is that mid-afternoon, kind of later in the evening, is when we started to notice a flux of calls for service dealing with the mental health nexus. Obviously, yes, we would like to have been able to go longer, but we have to kind of mirror their availability. I will say one thing though, it seems like there was a question that was asked is what happens once MCAT goes off duty? Those clinicians go on an on-call status, which means that if we have a patrol officer out there, although they're CIT certified, but they need a higher level of expertise, they have the ability to reach out to 988 and request one of those clinicianal teams respond out and assist them as well. So they are not without coverage, I guess I should say, when it comes to mental health.
Okay, all right, thank you, I appreciate that. So that's all the questions I had about MCAT. But the other question I had is, Lieutenant Hamlin, at the beginning you touched, I guess I missed it, I don't know if you used the word anomalies, but some related to the Part 1 crime stats of the FBI. Can you say a little bit more about that?
Yes, I can. When we went live in April, we were stressing getting under a 4% error rate because it's not until you as a department get under that 4% error rate that you're actually able to get your report to DOJ and back. And we were crossing our fingers that first month that we would get under 4%, and we knew that there were a lot of larger agencies throughout the state and throughout the country that it took them years to get under there. And our first month, we were under 2%. And our first, I want to say our first 3 months, we were under 3% on an error rate. And that month of July was 17%. So that's an anomaly. So we knew something had to be wrong. Our officers haven't suddenly been 15% more sloppy or whatever you want to call it. It has to be an issue with the product.
Can you help me understand when you say error rate? Is that like the?
So the system has an error check within it, and what it's looking for is data. We're not talking about like the narrative of a police report that an officer writes. There's no way to correct that for errors. If only there were, that'd be great. But we're talking about as far as data input. Each time that an officer writes a police report, there's data that has to be input, starting with the first page that has to do with the time of call, the location, the type of call, and all these things. There's a lot of data that DOJ is trying to get from us every time we report a specific time of call for burglary, for example. Every time there's a burglary, DOJ wants data about what happened, what kind of burglary it was, what happened, so that they can link it to other burglaries across the state. And then going on to every time that you're contacting someone as part of a call for service and you're writing a report, whether it be a witness, a victim, a suspect, you're also inputting their data as well. So our officers spend a lot of time inputting this data, and the system, the record management system, has that error check. It makes sure that we're inputting it the correct way. And it's on the front end where the officers can see it and then make corrections, and then it's also on the back end. And so to jump from under 2% to 17%, obviously something was going wrong.
But what would be identified as an error? Is it just like, you know, not putting the last name of an individual, or, I mean, what would it?
It's just the way that it's being collected. It would take a while for me to explain exactly what it is, but it's a computer, so it only understands certain commands, right? And you know, back in the old days, when I started and we were using chisels and stone to write our reports, you could just write anything you wanted. We hand wrote our reports.
Right.
But now the system, it's pretty finicky, and it wants things done a certain way. I'll give you an example. It used to be if you got a report of a petty theft at Safeway, you'd write petty theft Safeway, and then maybe write the address, or just the location or the district or something like that. Now the system only understands two things when it comes to locations. It understands exact addresses and cross streets, and they have to be input a very particular way, or it won't accept it. So that's just one example.
So the high error rate that came out, it's an anomaly, but that indicates that some of the fields aren't being completed appropriately per the FBI's request?
Yes, and
Okay.
when we actually know that they are. So
Okay.
so
I
that's the problem. There's a problem with the transfer.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. The other question I had is with regard to cold cases. You touched on, I think it's wonderful that that you all are solving some of those. And do we have a sense as to how many cold cases exist and how many? Because you gave sort of sense as to how many are being solved, but how many are we carrying as a city?
That is a very good question, Chair. I did a little bit of, I attempted to kind of determine that in preparation today, and it's
More or less.
pretty difficult. I would say probably 100.
Okay.
Yeah. Over the years, can you think about it? We've been averaging, especially the last several years, we've been averaging in the kind of 30s to 40s. But back in the 80s, they were getting into the 70s per year in homicides. Yeah. And again, that was going back to that model where you're on call for a week, so who knows how many homicides you were getting. So yeah, there's got to be a lot.
Okay, and then what's interesting, what I'm curious about is so in some of the examples you gave, we found some folks tied to it, submitted that to the DA files. If the DA, they go through their processes, let's just say the person's found not guilty, do you guys still consider that solved?
Yes. Yeah. If the district attorney has filed a case, and it is a very tight needle to thread for them to file it. So they're not going to file it unless they are sure. And there are a lot of factors that lead to a non-guilty verdict. Yeah. It's not always the fact that they're non-guilty. A lot of times, too, there will be plea bargaining along the way. That's an issue. And then there's also the issue of self-defense. Yeah. We may respond to a homicide, which homicide just means one person killed another person. That's literally all it means. We respond to that homicide and determine that, hey, the person that ended up killing the other person was just defending themselves, and if that's the way the DA sees it, then it'd be the same outcome.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I don't see any other questions, so we'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move to accept the report.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll go ahead and go vote now. sure if we're able to do it.
Are you guys seeing that on your screen? Okay.
No.
I can take a verbal vote for
Okay. All
Batra,
those oh, yes, please.
Yes.
Torres, Kamei, Duan,
Aye.
and Jimenez.
Yes.
That passes unanimously with one absent.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Hamlin. Appreciate the information. Okay, we're going to move on to open forum. We'll take public comment.
We have one hand raised, Paul Soto.
Yes, there's going to come a time when we're going to have to discuss very openly and candidly Officer McNamara, because he's not an anomaly. He's just not. And the more that the council tries to frame what he represented as an anomaly, or just these are just individual cases, you then are continuing to put the public at risk and actually in danger. Because what it means is that you have a diluted perception of what exists in the police department. Now I'm going to give you factual examples. In the LA Times, April 30th of 2022, Los Angeles Times, April 30th, 2022, there was an audit that was done in California, and 3 cities were included. San Jose was one of them. Now, they gave a very comprehensive report inside that newspaper, and it talked about the fact that Fast Eddie from the East left this department in shambles. He created a culture where that kind of behavior was endemic to. So we have to understand and see that there are good cops, there are good San Jose PD officers, and that garbage like McNamara is polluting the ability for those officers to function with integrity and with respect when they report to a call. Because we now have to be suspicious because you are not doing your due diligence and understanding that you have to accept the fact that there is a cultural issue. One of the ways that we can institutionalize remedies to it is I want the cadets, I want them inoculated from the racist culture that they are going to experience when they.
Back to the committee.
Okay, thank you. That's all. Meeting's adjourned.